I, 66 male, have 5 daughters, 3 from my first marriage and 2 from my second marriage. My eldest daughter, Erin, 36 female, hasn't spoken to me since her wedding 4 years ago. She invited my younger daughters to the wedding. However, my wife and I thought it was inappropriate for them to go. My divorce from my first wife wasn't very amicable, and she ended up making a scene and crying in front of our mutual friends. She also played hardball with the divorce and got most of our marital assets, which I think was more than fair. My ex's sister also verbally assaulted me once while the divorce was ongoing, and I had to hide in the bathroom to get away from her. My eldest from my second marriage is very sensitive, and I thought it was very likely that one or both of these women would create a scene which would traumatize her. When Erin called up to confirm numbers for the wedding, I explained that my daughters wouldn't be attending, and I explained why. I figured that Erin would understand, since she's always been good about this kind of thing. For example, when my wife and I chose to only include our children in our wedding photos, Erin was the only one of my daughters who understood why. Erin had also been the daughter who contacted me the most often, so I figured we had a good relationship to fall back on. I paid for her education and wedding dress too, so she's gotten a lot from me as well. Well, Erin was furious. She shouted at me over the phone. I was calm and polite throughout, tried to blackmail me into bringing her sisters, and also got her mother to contact me and try to convince me to change my mind. She also said that if my younger daughters couldn't come if her aunt was there, then she'd uninvite her aunt. But I told her not to do that, because I didn't want to ruin her wedding. And besides, her mother was a problem as well, so it didn't matter if her aunt was there or not. My younger daughters still couldn't come to the wedding. I ended up going to the wedding with just my wife, and it was lovely. Erin spoke to me for about 10 minutes during the reception, so I thought that she had gotten over her previous nonsense. However, she hasn't tried to call or text me since. I called a couple of times, but she didn't answer, so I stopped trying. Erin avoided me at my third daughter Laura's wedding, so it seemed pretty clear that she wasn't interested in talking to me. Erin gave birth to her first child a couple of years ago. She didn't call me to tell me about the pregnancy, so I figured she didn't want me to contact her. Most of what I hear about the baby is through family and friends who have seen her. The way I see it, I'm respecting Erin's boundaries by waiting for her to make the first move. But my sister says I'm being an a-hole because I hurt Erin, and I should make amends if I want to see my granddaughter. I just don't see it though, because it really does seem like a huge overreaction on Erin's part, and I did think she'd see my point of view. You're the a-hole, a massive one, and you wonder why your daughter's not speaking to you? You did not include all your children in your wedding photos? What the duck is wrong with you? You're the a-hole. You, your ex-wife, and your ex-wife's family need to grow up. You didn't let your daughter have her own sisters at her wedding. She obviously thought they were more important than her aunt, and you blocked that. I couldn't imagine having my siblings blocked from attending my wedding. I also can't believe you would exclude your daughters from your own wedding photos. You've done a terrible job navigating this divorce. Call your daughter, ask for her forgiveness, and try to do better. You're the a-hole. I can just tell why your first marriage fell apart. You're a despicable person that makes your children feel not welcome. You exclude them from your big day because they are a reminder of your previous marriage. I expect they will cut all contact in the long run, and you will end up alone, deservingly so. I'm distant with my brother Michael and his wife Hannah. I only see them at family functions, and generally we're not chit-chatting. For my dad's birthday last weekend, we were all at my parents' house for a dinner. Sometime during the dinner, Hannah found out that Michael's 3 kids had been responsible for things going wrong at their wedding, and when she saw my lack of reaction, she jumped on the fact I knew and never said anything to her for 16 years. I told her Michael knew before even I did, and never told her either, and he was her husband. She was surprised and didn't believe me at first, but he didn't cover his lie quick enough, and it was pretty clear. Michael was pissed at me for telling her that, and said I should have owned up to knowing and not telling her. I called him a hypocrite, and he said I had no right to throw him under the bus. A few other family members suspected, knew. My sister's 3 kids knew, and it might have been the youngest who let it slip, not sure. My sister and my parents suspected too, but never knew. Hannah and Michael left soon after, but Michael made it very clear he considered me a childish princess for the stunt. The background for those who will need or want it. Michael was married before to his kids' mom. She died when they were 5, 6, and 7 years old. Michael met Hannah 7 months later and married her 13 months after his first wife died. He did not cheat on his first wife, at least not with Hannah. He just moved very fast when he met her and was already going to date again when they met. Hannah was very eager to be a mom to the kids. She knew them 3 months when she told them she was going to love being their mom. Their wedding was quickly planned. The kids were not happy. They said it was moving too fast. They didn't want a new mom. Michael and Hannah didn't listen to them. Hannah even wrote these very emotional-driven vows for the kids, promising she would always be there for them, and was not just promising herself to their dad as his wife, but to the three of them to be their mom. The kids took the vows and burned them. They also messed with the wedding cake, hid the necklace Hannah wanted to wear on their wedding day, threw my brother's wedding ring away, and took the tie he was supposed to wear that was gifted by Hannah's dad. Hannah was so upset at the stuff that went wrong. I found out the day of the wedding. I was 16 at the time and ended up having the kids left with me because my brother was pissed they wouldn't fix what they did. All three kids went no contact with Michael and Hannah when they moved out of the house at 18. Over the years, none of them were okay with things. Michael remained angry over what happened, but never told Hannah, and Hannah remained oblivious and thought the kids would one day accept her as their mom if she kept calling herself that. Am I the a-hole? Wow, that's messed up. In regards to the question, not the a-hole. In the bigger picture, man, do these two suck hard. It's okay to move on quickly. Some people are just that way. But you can't expect the kids to move on this quickly, and especially not demand, for lack of a better word, to become the mom overnight. The whole shenanigans at the wedding should have been a warning sign that the kids need more time to adjust, perhaps therapy, and not a quick, your mom is dead, please say hello to your new mom. Not the a-hole. Your brother and Hannah are oblivious to the feelings of the kids, and moved at a pace that did not take the kids into consideration. The fact that all three are totally no contact should be a wake-up call to them, but I guess not. Not the a-hole, but whoa. Your brother and sister-in-law made some very poor, selfish decisions, and at least from what you've written here, are bad people. Michael couldn't care less about his kids' wants or needs, and Hannah also entirely refused to accept how selfish and cruel her actions were. The fact that the three kids went no contact as soon as they could speaks volumes. For the actual am I the a-hole? Of course you aren't the a-hole. Why exactly would this jerk think you would just fall on your sword for something that had nothing to do with you in the first place? It was entirely his and sister-in-law's fault, and they clearly did nothing to rectify the situation since. They think kids just act out because they are bad kids? I have a stepdaughter, Anna, who I have an okay relationship with. I'd say outside of some teen angst, we've always gotten along okay, though she absolutely despised my bio daughter, Katie. Anna is someone who does tend to hyper-focus on her own feelings and can't see beyond her feelings being hurt. I'd say she also has some anxiety. When they were both in high school, a little over 10 years ago, she cut up Katie's prom dress because she was so upset that it was nicer than hers. Dad's family had money, and because my husband was forcing Anna to go to prom, which I agree was wrong. But he thought she was being childish for refusing to go because she was unhappy with her dress. Don't get me wrong, I was beyond furious to the point I wanted her out of the house. Once I calmed down, I realized that was ridiculous. And I did resent Anna for a while over it. But it was high school. We're way past it. Recently, Katie, who isn't invited to the wedding, made a joke about how I need to destroy Anna's dress to avenge her. Katie and Anna's fiancé got into a huge fight, and I didn't even realize Anna was upset. But now she's paranoid that I'm going to do something. Katie is pretty serious and has made multiple comments about how great it would be to destroy the dress, and I should do it for her. She doesn't know the wedding date, location, or where Anna lives. I told her I wouldn't. She does have intrusive thoughts sometimes, and right now there is no convincing her, and she asked for me not to come to the wedding. Now I'm of the mindset that you cannot invite half of a couple. I told my husband that it's hurtful, and I don't support him going without me. He asked me to just let it go this one time. I told Anna the same thing, but she just says she has anxiety now. I'm pretty set on I can't stop my husband from going without me, but I'm not going to encourage him or support it. I told Anna she is being rude, and my husband that he is failing to stand up for our marriage. You're the a-hole. You mention Anna's shortcomings, but you say nothing about your adult daughter who talks about wanting to ruin somebody's dress. Anna's anxiety might actually be justified. You're the a-hole. I wouldn't let you near my wedding after this, and my anxiety is mild. I wouldn't be comfortable having you anywhere near, since you are justifying your daughter for wanting this. Nope, it's a nope. I want to suppose that you are a decent human, but I wouldn't gamble with it. If you are upset about not going, thank your daughter. She's the one who had you banned. If this affects your marriage, your daughter is to blame, not your stepdaughter. Also, if the situation was your daughter does not want her stepmother because her stepsis told that her mother would destroy the bride's dress, you would support that. You're the a-hole. What Anna did in high school was bad, but she was a teenager then. It was 10 years ago, and nothing in your post in decades that she's the same type of person, except for the anxiety, which isn't her fault or a crime. You have a bad tone about Anna, but are kind of flippant about the fact that your own daughter wants you to destroy a wedding dress for revenge for something that happened a decade ago. Yet you don't say that Katie can't look past her own feelings, like how you describe Anna. No wonder you aren't trusted enough to be in attendance. You claim to be past resenting Anna, but that's not true, and it shows in the way you spoke of her in this post. Anna's wedding is not about you. It's not even about your husband. It's about Anna and her fiancé, and Anna wants her dad there, without the anxiety of you there. I don't know why you care so much. You clearly dislike her. My fiancé, Brian, 43 male, and I, 41 female, are planning to get married next year. The wedding will be pretty low-key, so we have set a date, but not booked a venue or sent out invites yet. The reason I chose this specific date is because it would have been my mom's 75th birthday if she hadn't passed 2 years ago, and I'm devastated she won't see me get married. For context, Brian and I have 2 daughters together, and he also has a son, Peter, 22 male, from a previous relationship. Brian and Peter's mom do not have a healthy relationship. They separated when Peter was 13. He stayed with his mom and did not have any contact with Brian. However, with the wedding coming up, Brian wanted to reconnect with Peter, so reached out to him online a year and a half ago. Peter replied, and the two of them met up a few times, but they are not close at all. Peter is a student, and because he has a mental illness, he claims to be unable to hold down a job while studying. When Brian heard this, he offered to give him money, also in part because he feels guilty for not being present during Peter's teenage years. Apparently, he did not have a good time living with his mother. Now my fiancé is giving Peter £300 a month, which could have gone towards our own daughters. I strongly suspect Peter is only maintaining a relationship with Brian for the money. It's always Brian who has to message first and initiate meetups. Yesterday, Brian asked me to move the wedding because Peter is not available on the date we've picked. I got upset, saying that this date means a lot to me, and if the wedding meant anything to Peter, then surely he could have moved whatever other commitment he has that day. Brian accused me of not caring about him and his family, which is obviously not true. I said the things I wrote in my post about Peter just wanting money and not giving two hoots about Brian, which made Brian even more upset, and he ended up telling me to get out of the house, so I'm staying with my sister now. We have never had an argument this big. Am I the a-hole? Edit. The reason Peter can't come to the wedding is because his girlfriend's family has a big gathering abroad every 5 years, and he is going to that. Seems like we are not his priority. Edit number 2. We live in the UK where you're legally obligated to pay child support. Brian doesn't owe Peter anything in that regard. I did an online calculator, and according to that, it was around £450 per month. Edit number 3. I picked my wedding date before Peter's girlfriend's family planned their holiday. Peter knew when the wedding would be. Then his girlfriend invited him on holiday, and he literally canceled on us. Update. I realized I need to be more considerate of other people's perspectives, especially Peter's. However, I'm now quite upset with my fiancé because he hid Peter from me until I was pregnant with our first daughter. I'm also worried he might leave me and my children. I might push the wedding back a year because I need answers from Brian. Getting married on your dead mother's birthday is insane. You are guaranteeing from the get-go that your anniversary will always be a memorial to your grief, instead of a celebration of you and your spouse's love. My husband and I specifically set a date far away from his late father's birthday or the anniversary of his passing for this exact reason. This is a weird and uncomfortable memorial concept. And yes, you're the a-hole for prioritizing dead family members over living ones. I understand it's important to honor your mom at your wedding, but you haven't picked a venue or set anything up. Whereas Peter has an itinerary that is probably paid for already. Not only that, but your whole attitude of he's only using my husband for money is seriously dismissive of what he had to endure when his dad abandoned him as a teenager. Of course he's guarded and doesn't reach out. Your fiancé is trying to build their relationship. And that is why it's so important to your fiancé that his son is at his wedding. He wants him to feel included, and this is a huge moment for that. Would your mom really be okay with you standing in the way of your fiancé trying to give Peter what you had with her, and doing it in her honor? She's gone. You don't get to make more memories with her. But Peter is alive, and they can still make memories that matter. I'm sorry if that sounds harsh, but there are other ways to honor your mom. Maybe by picking a different significant date to her to host it. Maybe by having a tribute to her at the wedding. Whatever. You're being uncompromising at the expense of a relationship that you really should be encouraging. I'm going with you're the a-hole. It does not sound at all as though this is really about your wedding date. I mean, you haven't even booked anything or sent invites, so the date doesn't even matter. This sounds 100% like you simply not personally liking your fiancé's son, and you not wanting them to have any kind of relationship. If you love this man and really want a future together, you should try to find a way past your problem with Peter, because if you keep trying to put a wedge between them, well, most parents are always going to put their kids first.